welcome back. Okay, today's video is all about how to make your first £100,000 and start on your road to becoming financially free. I'm sure that loads of you out there have wondered how we have managed to move from one country to another and be able to financially support that decision. So today I'm going to tell you, it's not a huge secret. It was basically done through property. So what we did was I wouldn't call it property flipping because these things, we did over time. It was kind of by accident. We never actually had a property strategy down. Our situation at the time just kind of led us from moving from one house to another and never actually selling the house that we'd moved from. We'd always buy a house and then we'd think, oh, you know what, we need to rent it out. So we rented it out and moved somewhere else, and then we ended up with a collection of homes. And that's how we made our money initially. Okay, so we had all these homes, and thankfully all of them kind of went up in value. So it was the money that we got from there that enabled us to be able to have the bulk to be able to move to Ghana. And also what we did was the properties that we weren't living in, before we sold them, we actually rented them out. So monthly, those properties in the UK were actually giving us an income to live in Ghana. So now, if you want to go down, from what I know anyway, buying property is the fastest way to grow an income, your income portfolio. And the reason I say that is because doing other side jobs, they take time. They're not as quick with property. You can have a property, buy it, you buy it. Let me start again. I'm getting too excited. You buy a house that needs a lot of work, but cosmetics. You do it up, so you invest a certain amount of money, you do it up, and then you sell it for more than obviously what you bought it for, and that gives you some money. Now, what you do is, this is the part that people get wrong. What you do is, when you take out the money, after you sold that house, you do not spend the money that you have just got from that house. You then reinvest it into doing the same thing again, and that is called property flipping. Excuse me, I have a cold, I've not been very well. So, anyway, so you basically then do the same thing again, and you keep rolling over the money. So the money that you get from the house, you reinvest it. You don't spend it and say, ooh, I got this money. No, you reinvest it and you keep going. It enables you to even buy bigger, better properties. It opens up your catchment as to what you can afford to buy. And you keep doing this until you have made a substantial amount of money that you need, whatever you need. Okay, so you do not spend it. Or I would say, if you are the type that knows that you really want to spend some of that money, have an agreement with yourself that, you know what, if I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna sell it for some money, I'm going to only take out, say, a certain amount of money from each property that I sell, and that would be like a thank you present to myself. You can do that as long as you have initially agreed with yourself and you can financially afford to do that, then you can do that. Okay. Property is a great way to make money. It's fast, it's convenient, it's easy to do. It's not as complicated as what it may seem if you do your research and you do it right. We have done it several times and it has worked. We have taken gambles doing some of it. Believe me, if I told you some of the stuff we had done to get property, but it always paid off for us. Although I'm not suggesting for a second you do some of the things that we have done. Don't, because it was high risk at the time, but it paid off for us, thankfully. But in the same respect, there's been times we've also made some really bad financial decisions. But the reason I'm doing this video today is because I really want to share with you guys, so that you can also equip yourself, so that if you do want to move abroad, or if you have something that you want to do and it requires a big amount of money, so that you can also financially free yourself to be able to do those things. Okay, so property is a great way to do it. Buy the property, flip them. You can also rent out your properties as well. You can buy with a view to rent it. Now, I'm not a huge believer in renting out properties just because we have been stung by it so many times. It may not be so bad this video is getting really dark, isn't it? I'm sorry, I don't know why. There you go, is that a bit better? I'll step forward. Anyway, it may not be so bad in the US or in other countries, but in the UK it is really bad. The system kind of favours the tenants more than it does the landlord. So if you have a tenant in your home and they for some reason stop paying or can't pay their rent anymore, the process, you can't just kick them out. You have to go through a process. You have to go to court, which you have to pay for, and it takes a while first before this thing, to get the ball rolling, to get the person out of your house. And by that time you've probably kind of dug a financial hole for yourself, because obviously during that time they're not paying rent and you still have to pay a mortgage, so you've got to come up with that money. this is why I don't like renting. But if you're the kind of person that can be on top of these things, if you're like, no, this is the kind of person I'm going to get in my property, I'm going to make sure I check on them every, I don't know, 6 weeks or whatever you're going to do, then maybe that will work for you. But for me, it was too much headache for me, and it's just too much. So I personally don't like that. But if you can handle that, then that's great for you. I mean, we rented out properties for a while when we first came to Ghana, and that provided us a source of income. So although we had assets, that also gave us an income as well, especially as when later on we sold a couple of our properties. That enabled us to buy the lands that you've seen on some of the videos I've done. So that helped us to buy those. Now I will say that we have never really been cash rich, but we've also always been asset rich. Now there's a big difference, and you need to know and understand the difference. When someone is cash rich, that means they can go to expensive restaurants, they can buy all these designer clothes, and they can do all that kind of thing. That is being cash rich. There's nothing wrong with that. That's great. If that's for you, that's great. I would love to be cash rich, but I'm not yet. But we have been asset rich. If you're asset rich, it means that you have things tied up in assets such as stocks and shares, property, that kind of thing. Okay, so it means you don't necessarily have the money on hand right now, but if you were to sell something, you would have the money. Those are being asset rich. A car is not an asset. Okay, a car is a liability because it is an expense to you. Something goes wrong with the car, you have to keep fixing it, maintaining it. A car is not an asset, and it is a liability, unless it is a high valued car where you know that it only the value of the vehicle goes up and not down like most common cars. Okay. So to make your first £100,000, you need to flip properties, buy them, do them up, sell them, reinvest the profit that you make, and keep on doing this and doing this and doing this. I'm not going to go too much into the ins and outs of how to do it, just because every country has their own set of rules and it's different for everybody. And even I know that the UK has changed a lot since we've come to Ghana in terms of their rules as well. I believe the stamp duty has gone up. If you hold more than one residential property, you know, you pay a lot of stamp duty basically. So that's a complication in itself. Excuse me. So yes, property is the way to go. Do it. It will change your life. You may struggle at first to do it. I will say this to you. You may struggle at first to do it, but at some point it will pay off for you. Believe me, it will pay off. We struggled with some of the homes we bought financially because we had to put all our savings into buying some of these houses, and it meant that for some of the time we went without stuff. But it was okay because now we are now benefiting from what we had done in the past. Okay, so it's sometimes the sacrifice now is worth it for later, especially if it means that you'll get a bigger reward later. So now when I look back and I think of some of the things that we missed out on, actually I'm not bothered by that. It was nothing really, you know. I might have been missed out on, you know, maybe taking a couple of holidays like with my friends and stuff, which is nice, but that is not what my end goal is. My end goal is to create wealth, and I'm on my journey to create a wealth stream, and those properties have helped us on the road to doing that and to becoming financially free. I'm not there yet, we're not there yet, but we are certainly definitely on that road. You know, having businesses as well is a really great, anything you can create with your hands, anything that you're good at, turn it into a business. If you can draw, if you can make things, do it, because you may think that your skill is not good, but someone else will value your skill. Create business. There is no, you're not going to become rich by working for someone unless you've got a really, really great paying job. You're not going to become rich. You will only become rich through either through your own type, skills. So having your own business or having property which you then flip. Those are the only ways that you're going to create wealth, okay? So don't despise where you're coming from at the moment, but you have to have a goal. So I would advise you to write down your goals, which is what we did, which is why it took us so long to get to where we've got to now. Write your goals down and say, like, in like 5 years what you want to do, and then break it down. In 1 year, what are the steps you're going to do to get to your 5-year goal? So if you do it that way, then you've got like a master plan to follow. And believe me, before you know it, you will have that money. £100,000 is not that much money to save, and it's not that much money to make. It's possible if you are disciplined enough to do it. If I can do it, believe me, you can do it, because I'm a mother. I don't have a lot of time to be doing other things, but I try and do what I can, and property worked for us, and if it works for us, it can definitely work for you guys. But anyway, that is enough talking for me today. I hope you have been able to make sense of some of the stuff that I've talked about. If you're unsure of anything, do hit me up in the comments. And yeah, that's it. If you haven't subscribed, please do subscribe. And that's it. Until next time, guys. Peace out.